Okay.
Then the other one arrived after 20, right? There you go.
Okay, well, welcome. So I'll call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're privileged to gather on the traditional territory of the Kwakwa speaking peoples. Are there any amendments to, there are some amendments to the agenda. If we can add 10B, APC minutes, and C, the Halloween fireworks. And for the in-camera, another section 91J, information that is prohibited from disclosure. Are there any other additions to the agenda? Okay, so seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, there are no petitions or delegations. Any corrections from the meeting minutes, August 25th? And if there are none, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes? Okay, moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. So item 5A, email dated August 21st, 2020 from Port McNeill Kids in Motion, requesting grant and aid for the cost of rent from October 2020 to 21. So if I can have a move for discussion, please. Seconded? Okay.
Yeah, Wickstrom.
Yeah.
I'm in conflict of interest on this issue.
Okay.
So I'm
So
going to step out of the room.
Okay, great, thank you. I will mention before we go into discussion that Jamie Woodward, the person who filled out the Woodford, who filled out the application, is present. If you have any questions that were specific to Kids in Motion, she is here to be able to answer them and can be brought in if needed. What's your pleasure, Council? Go ahead, Councillor Downey.
I think because this is a rather large ask, I would be curious to see, I have a few questions. Has it been open since March? Statistics for who uses it, how many hours is it used, how much revenue is generated, back to, is it operational during COVID this time? And, you know, depending what those answers are, the other would be the likelihood of it being open if it isn't. Those are questions I have that without that information, I don't feel qualified to make a decision on this.
Would you be able to bring Jamie in from, and allow her to talk? That'd be great. Hi, Jamie, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Councillor Downey has a few questions. I'll turn it over to her and have you answer them for her, please.
Okay.
Just looking for stats on the usage of the facility, how many hours it's used a week, the revenue that is generated. Has it been operational during COVID? And if it's not, when do you foresee it opening again?
Okay. So to start, it has not been operational during COVID because of COVID restrictions. And we're currently looking at being able to have it open. We have some COVID, I can't think of the word.
Guidelines?
Yeah, guidelines in place. And working with Toddler Time has been looking to use it to open for Toddler Time with guidelines in place. Same with Infant Development their program looking to use it as well, again with COVID guidelines in place. We're currently waiting to see if we have received a grant to hire somebody who would be able to foresee this for the next 10 or so months. So yeah, because of COVID, it hasn't been being able to open, but I think what we would like to see is the option to be able to have it open to access for families in the community, whether that be individualized or what that will look like. We kind of have to look at that as to what we're allowed and health and safety and the regulations. So that's currently in the works, having conversations. In the past, it's been used, like, I think last year, I'm just trying to go off the top of my head of looking at some of the stats, I think 1,000 or so more visits. It was used for toddler time, infant development program. Local physio and occupational therapists have been able to use the space to provide services for their clients. Revenue generating, the Play Center hasn't operated on making money, because it was looked at as being able to be offered to the community more free of charge, and just having whatever rental fees for birthday parties helping to cover the basic expenses of the hydro, insurance, etc. So we've generally been able to do the drag race fundraiser, which has been able to cover the rent for the year. And without having to have been able to do that fundraiser, this is kind of the position we find ourselves in, because we don't produce revenue.
I have a question on, normally it's free. Is there a consideration perhaps for doing, you know, a small COVID fee charge with the increased costs required of you to keep the COVID guidelines in place, but also the possible decrease in participation with the makerspace?
Yeah, I think that is something that we would have to look at, is kind of maybe a membership, which we have had in the past for Makerspace, etc. But for something in particular for the Play Center, we definitely would need to be looking into what can we do to make it affordable to families, because that was kind of the premise of the Play Center, to be affordable, safe play space. And what can we do in order to make sure that we can cover the excess fees that we would have to incur through the months if we were running.
Okay. Any questions?
Do you get any revenue from infant development or toddler time for the use of space?
No revenue from them, as they also, I think, are kind of, their funds, from what I gather, are also limited. So I think there's been kind of agreements reached with them as to the use of the space, etc. So those are also conversations moving forward to continue to have as we move into this kind of new COVID operation, as to how we're going to continue to work together to use those spaces.
Councillor Mitchell, go ahead.
I guess the one question I have is I'm not real familiar with the program other than to know that it's running, because of course I'm way past 7 kids in that age group, and it's certainly good to see some activities for them, but I'm not involved in it, that's for sure. And I guess my question would be, is there an economic reason, like are you targeting low income or people with no means, and that's why there's no fee for this extracurricular service?
I think the big, our society.
The reason why you don't charge anything for it, it's all got to be funded by donation and sort of volunteer effort.
Yeah. Yeah, so because our society is nonprofit, that's kind of where the premise within the society is, that we're not to, you know, we're nonprofit, so we're not looking to make money. We're looking to be able to offer a service, be able to use volunteers, and be able to fund our, especially the Play Center, fund based on fundraising, using volunteers to produce some volunteer time, like with the drag race concession, which has proved to be very advantageous for the Play Center in the past, of not needing to seek out a lot of additional funds to have the Play Center open for the year. So to keep it open for families who are having financial difficulties. So it's not just for families who can afford to step in the door, that it's open to all families with young children. It's a community place, so people can feel connected to other people, that other programs are being offered that are to the benefit of families and for the development of our young children in our communities.
How many families are utilizing this service? What do you anticipate if you get to reopen?
Well, we had about 1,000 drop-ins last year. So I'm not sure the number on how many families. I'd have to pull up my stats. I know that we have had quite a few families, and also families from people who have been visiting the community have also come in to utilize it at drop-in times, like when it's been open through the spring, through the fall, etc. So the number of families, I would need to pull up the document.
So, and I would suspect prior to COVID, when we were in the midst of the strike, it was utilized quite a bit.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Do you have any questions? Yes. Any more questions before Jamie leaves us?
I'd like to see the stats. I really would.
Okay. All right. If you want to put Jamie back into the waiting room there. Okay, great. Are you not, what am I hearing then? You're not prepared to make a decision, or?
I personally can't support 12 months of rent for this organization. I don't think that's our mandate as municipal government. If we're looking to do a grant and aid donation to help tide them over of $1,000 or something typically that we've done for other nonprofits in the past, I'm open to that for sure.
Just not earmarking it for rent per se.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Mitchell?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to do some numbers in my head. I'm thinking if there's 20 families that are involved, or well, let's just say 50 for argument's sake, $10 a piece a month would take care of the rent issue, $6,000 a year. If there's 20 families, then it'd be $25 a month, right? You know, but it's something that I guess I'd like to understand why we should do it, because we need to remember that it's taxpayer money that we're spending, and so I guess I don't see very much contribution from the participants, and I guess if it's valuable to them, I would like to see them put some skin in the game, and then we could maybe help out a little bit with a grant and aid or something like that. I'm not opposed to assistance, but a whole year, no, I'm not quite ready for that.
Yeah, other municipalities do have grants for nonprofits and that. So yeah, definitely, I don't think that's unusual. I hear what you're saying about taxpayer money. It would just be, yeah, how council would want to, I hear what you're saying, Shelley, about not wanting to commit to, for rent per se, but, to assist them with expenses. I think we could look at it as it would be a recreation component or something that we provide, would, or don't provide for families that this kind of an organization does. So, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to helping them. I think I agree with you though about earmarking it for rent. I don't feel completely comfortable. And a year, 6 months worth, maybe half the amount, I would feel better with. Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
I guess I also note that it didn't meet the criteria for most of the other levels of government aid that was available. That might have been available that they applied for.
I don't think that's unusual though, if there's a lot of nonprofits that have fallen through the cracks and not met, for whatever reason, don't meet the criteria. Yeah. Anyway.
Can we table it to come back?
At the next meeting or at another?
If they, yeah, for them to be able to provide us bit more of a plan.
We won't have another meeting till October unless we have a special meeting, which is possible.
I don't want to not support it, but I'm having a bit of a, I don't know the best way to support it. Because I understand they've got to pay rent in order to keep the space. We don't want to lose the space. But is there a way that, I don't know.
Yeah, without, because they're still speaking with another organization. I did in passing, I was talking about something completely different. And I don't mean to be vague, but they are partnering with another organization. I think that will make them viable and be able to be sustainable in the long run. So.
Do we need a motion to deal with this so that they know what our intentions are?
Yeah, if you want to either direct staff to get your questions answered, or if you wanted to do a lesser amount to tide them through over a couple months, that would be completely up to you.
Well, I'm certainly open to providing a one-time grant and aid. We've done that for many organizations for various reasons without doing a wallet squeeze, which we don't have to do here then if we were going to do that, right?
Yeah, and just before you continue, what do we have? Do you know what we have left in our grant and aid fund? I suspect we haven't.
We budgeted $7,000, and year to date we have spent $900.
We budgeted 7,000. I thought we budgeted way more than that.
Yeah.
Don't we budget
No.
20,000?
I think we slimmed down this year because of COVID.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I'm going to make a motion that we donate $2,000 to them to use however they wish. I don't want to earmark it for rent. They can do whatever they wish and keep it if they make a deal with somebody or whatever.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion on that?
I would like to see, in terms of discussion, I would like to see some statistics that, what it is they're doing, because if it's not a sustainable enterprise, then there's another discussion to be had, but you only know that by looking at your stats.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can have a further discussion with Ms. Woodford and get that information for you, and then at the time that they're able to disclose the organization that they'll be partnering with, perhaps at that point there.
That's irrelevant
Okay.
to me. It's whatever they're doing, and that is irrelevant
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
Good.
So is yours contingent on them bringing the stats, or you just would like to know the stats for future?
It's just a follow-up discussion,
okay.
just a request.
Okay, yeah, great.
Just a request.
All right, so if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion by Councillor Mitchell? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, would we have written that down? Sorry. Well, no, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Okay.
This has got the motion.
He's got it there? Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay. Can't see the opposed. I moved so I could see Ryan. Now I can't see the rain. You arrange my room for me?
I have a feet up on your desk.
Oh, okay. All right. Item 5B, letter dated September 3rd from Resource Works Society, and they are, and the Canadian Institute of Forestry regarding the declaration of September 20th to 26th, deeming it National Forestry Week. So, move for discussion on that? Seconded? Okay. How does council feel about this? It's different, I think, than last year. Well, obviously it's different than past years. There's no events because we can't gather. So it's a total online presence. And I was actually myself thinking along with they've got digital graphics and that, but we could certainly use some local forestry photos ourselves to go along with the messaging that they provide.
If we're going to participate in this, could we, as counselors, be given this information as well, that we can punch it out on our social media
Yeah, absolutely.
as well?
So if,
Favor of it, in
go ahead, yeah, Councilor Mitchell, go ahead.
favor of it, as long as it's not gonna cost us any money.
Yeah, I think a bit of staff time. That would be it, to make the posts on social media, that would be it.
Okay, we're not gonna be doing any print advertising or anything
No,
like that. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
so I need a motion then that Port McNeil declare the week of September 20th to 26th National Forest Week. Moved and second, okay? Sorry. Okay, so that Port McNeil declare the week of September 20th to 26th. Mhm. It's the same week as UBC now. Yeah. National Forest Week. So I have a first and a second, or any further discussion on that? And seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I think that's our first declaration. I don't think we've done one before. Okay. Mhm. Table items, letter 6A. So this is the letter from July 13th, 2020 from Ministry of Forest Lands, Natural Resources, Operations and Rural Development. So we did meet with Flimrud, and I'm just curious as to what comments council would like to be forwarded regarding the TSA review, or supply review. Councilor?
I would like to motion that we craft a response to this. Leave it at that.
What do you want to say in the response? Are you putting this, I guess this is on myself to craft?
Well, I thought about 4 pages
Yeah, I
of
do as
notes
well.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 3 pages of notes, so.
Sorry, was that a motion? Or were you
Oh,
discussing
sorry,
that?
motion moved, yeah, seconder on that? Discussion?
Can you have just make sure I'm capturing?
Oh, sorry, yes, I got ahead. Where is it?
That we craft a response to North Island TSA, TSR data package review.
Okay, seconder?
For discussion?
Okay, go ahead.
I think we're all better off just writing our own letters on behalf of each other, as opposed to maybe 4 or 5 letters. I'm just a little concerned we're going down the slope where we're putting letters together, seemingly last minute policy statements that maybe I know this is very important, but I just don't see the harm in just doing our own. And then we wouldn't have to wrestle over the wordsmithing, and it's hard to please everyone if we just all did our own thing. I think council would consider that.
I would like to see a response from the town of Port McNeil.
Mhm.
And I'm not.
And there's
afraid if we
there's
do
nothing-
our own
yeah, I was gonna
response
say
as
this.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Councilor Barron?
This is just on the data package?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
So we're not even gonna get in, there was a second time, later in the process, there's a time to actually get into a bit more of the economics, and this is just literally on the
On the
data
pack, yeah.
package. So it would be a pretty technical response. No, I don't know. My first time.
Well, I know that they did say, if there were socioeconomic concerns that we should raise those.
Include them.
There was also, I had a comment about, in the review, about the fact that it's predominantly healthcare and,
Mhm.
which I was wondering where they derive their stats from. Councilor Mitchell, did you have your hand up, or is that your phone to your ear?
That's my
Oh,
phone
okay.
right here. I'm not gonna weigh in on this one, I'm pretty cynical about that whole process.
Okay.
As you know, I think that it was really clear that it's a politicized
And to go to the other side, perhaps Councillor Cole doesn't align with the same views that we have, and he might have something different, so. There's no problem with you
Of
as
course.
a, yeah, citizen.
If I may, what I struggle with is, we're making this decision as a council, but not 100% of our residents feel that way about forestry. So where does their voice come to the table? Like, we're always ready to make this political decision on this particular issue, but there's lots of people that care deeply about farmer care, and that we were asked to sign on to something like that, and we brushed that aside, right? So that's all I struggle with. And often when I bring these things up, it's not even my personal view. I just feel that it's not the view of everyone in our town and all our constituents. They voted for us and they make those decisions. I get that, but I just struggle with how some of those other voices fit in to our decision as a whole in council. So.
Anything specific you would like, before we vote on it, that you would like in the letter?
For my notes, I would have to
Go by the
read
notes.
the document again alongside of my notes.
There's still lots of time.
There's lots, yeah, we just don't have another meeting beforehand. So what I can do is I can review the notes. If everybody's in favor, can craft something and bring it to council to review. So are there any further comments on that?
Could we include something in there that maybe not all the residents of Fort McNeil, or that we don't speak for everyone, or some thin edge of the wedge? Consider it. That's all I'm asking. It's not part of the motion.
Okay. Councillor Barron, did you have anything to add, or?
Well, I mean, I think that within this, there was thought process around discussions on trails and First Nations considerations.
Mhm.
So, and I think those were probably two of the, other than just log it.
Yeah.
Things that would need to be,
address.
would need to be in there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll start working on something, and perhaps maybe if if you would like to add a trails component piece to it that I can add and make it sound like sort of one author wrote it.
That's not my specific concern. With this particular, like, none of the areas around Fort McNeil, for as far as I can see, it's on Malcolm Island, so I don't really see any real local trail, and I'm, I know the foresters in these plans, they take all that into consideration, so I don't doubt that that is being considered.
I think I'd be more concerned about with it joining Campbell River and our making sure that we're still getting an appropriate opportunity to what is there for us. I think would be more, because like you say, the foresters of the world, they're already looking at things that, you or I may not even comprehend in order for them to come to those sorts of decisions. So,
And that's something I
it's a good point.
it was a good point where I can't remember who asked the question, but there are very different voices on, you can almost draw a line in the island. And so, how do they move forward with that? Do they continue to keep us all together? What structures their decisions at the end of the day? And I know she said it isn't the loudest voice, it is scientifically based and as well, but definitely it does bring a concern for myself. Okay, well, I'll work on something and I'll get it back to council.
Kind of just go around by email.
Well, wait, first of
Okay,
all,
sorry.
is everybody in favor of writing, or the motion there of writing a, where is that now? A response. All in favor? Okay, opposed, carried. Okay, so I'll craft something, and then if I'm missing way out in left field, you guys can add, yeah, notes to that. Okay,
Sounds good.
thank you. Item 7A, museum operations, for information. Though there is one recommendation that would require a motion, and that would be that for the youth employment is used through winter and spring school breaks with the remainder of the allotted budget. I understand from this report and also speaking with Kennedy that there is some work still to do, finishing cataloging, and yeah, Councillor Barron, if you wanted to.
All I've seen is the report. So.
Yeah. I think they did a good job.
I think it sounds like a great start.
Yeah. So if there's no questions from the report, would someone entertain a motion that further youth employment is used through winter and spring school breaks with the remainder of the allotted budget? Moved by Councillor Barron. Seconded. Okay, by Councillor Lenny. Any further discussion on that?
Please repeat the motion.
Oh, sorry. That further youth employment is used through winter and spring school breaks with the remainder of the allotted budget. And that was,
Regarding the museum.
sorry, yes. Well, it's under the museum heading, so. Oh, it's true. Mini budget, yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you. August 2020 check listing for information.
Proceed and file.
Seconder for that? Questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of receipt? Opposed? Carried. And for information, we have our 2020 council resolutions list, which council had requested us of staff to just see where we are in regard to a lot of our resolutions. I spoke with our CAO, Mr. Nelson Smith, earlier, and the 28th of January, we moved that we apply for an active transportation grant. He's going to change that. We have received that. So. Okay, so move for receipt. Second, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Council reports, there were none written, but did anybody want to do a verbal report?
I have some information I want to share from the Table of Partners meeting, which is the Mount Washington Health Network. Allison Mitchell had requested the Health Network to put out a information communications blitz to request that people see their health practitioner, see their physician in the medical clinic and not use the emergency departments as a doctor's office. They are seeing a higher volume of traffic more recently at the emergency rooms across the region. And so that is an information blitz that the Health Network will be participating in. So, and what it is it's just taxing the physicians in the ER when they could be seeing them in clinic. So.
Anyone else? Yep.
I got back, I'm sure I blew through the check listing and I missed it, but I asked the last time we went through this thing about the fire department, why we're spending so much money on food for the fire department. And I still haven't answered that question because this check was $1,000. And I want to know why. I just want to know what's going on there. I just need an explanation. And then my other question is on the airport runway switch. Are we getting revenue to cover that? Or is somebody else collecting it and we're just paying the bills? I just want to know.
Or is that part of the grant? There was a grant a while ago. Oh, that was lighting.
I saw a switch on there.
So yeah, we're just going back to that report. So the runway switch, that would be on page, I did see that as well.
24.
Thank you.
How much was it? $400.
Mhm.
Is that electronics?
Yeah, 408. So you can find out for us if we're receiving revenue for that. And what was the exact question for you regarding the food for the fire department?
I'm just trying to understand what's going on there, why we're spending so much money at IGA and Foods, wherever we're doing it. Why are we doing it?
Do you know, what would be great is if we could find out, do they have a budgeted line item for food and where they're at?
I think it was supposed to be broken up for this
Yeah.
year was what we requested.
You can get back to us on that. Okay, thank you. Was there any other questions from that? Sorry, I didn't see you on the screen there.
No,
Okay,
but just the airport thing.
okay.
I have one other thing I wanted to share.
Mhm.
The Tourism Advisory Committee has started a video project. I mentioned that at a previous meeting, so they were out this weekend and they've done the bike trail ride, farmers market, walking the sportsman, a couple walking on their dog on the waterfront or on the beach. That's all been done. And on the weekend, they'll be doing the beach scene, Klaksui dinner, Gus's pub, and then coming up with a strategy to depict whale watching. So it has been, they've had fantastic weather. And speaking with one of the members there, it said that the workmanship of Rob Hills and Fran Jenkins has been phenomenal.
Oh,
So
good.
just, I just want to give her a good report. And we have a local videographer looking after it, and it's going excellent. So.
Awesome. Okay. Item 10B is the APC minutes. For information, I know that they came quite late. Did you, sorry, I'm just gonna let you catch up, okay. Did you want to make any comments on them, or is it just for, no?
I actually haven't been to any of the previous meetings, so.
So they're just from the committee forwarded you for us, okay. All right. So move receipt of meeting minutes from July 29th, 2020 and August 19th, 2020. Yep. Seconder for that? Okay, good.
Are these actually recommendations,
I don't,
or is there a recommendation coming?
There'll be recommendations coming. This is
okay,
just.
this is just what they're
Okay.
working through and
Yeah.
yeah, okay, great.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of receipt then? Opposed? Carried. Great. Item 10C is the Halloween fireworks. So I was in the office today when our fire chief called and wanted to know if we were still having fireworks. So I'm going to put that out for discussion to the rest of council. Go ahead.
What is the sentiment of the fire department regarding this?
Go ahead.
So speaking with Chief Tate, the stance that the fire department is taking this year is due to the strike that we had and then the onset of this pandemic is they don't feel right by going door to door to businesses to receive funding that they have done in the past. They know that the businesses are struggling and honestly don't feel right by going and asking for more money from the already shallow pockets.
So I guess I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking, are they okay with hosting it, with doing it.
Yes, absolutely, for those that can't see me nodding my head.
Okay.
But are we okay encouraging a group of more than 50 people to be together in closed spaces?
Well, that's the, what I was saying, I had just a preliminary discussion with Pete today, and, you know, I think we'd have to nix the fire, because that's a place, as soon as you put the fire, people will congregate. We would have to clearly encourage people to, you know, go along the docks, or, well, I don't know if we all want to in the water, but we could set up areas where, yeah, people could congregate, ask them to, you know, keep in mind that they're not in large groups. As far as the funding of the fireworks goes, we do still have, and I don't know, Pete, if you had a chance today to find out, but we do still have the Canada Day funding that we have not spent.
Which is for gathering.
Yes. Now, I know that this is the only thing I don't know. Well, Canada Day is every year. This is something that's every year. It's not something we're, you know, coming up with as a brand new idea, but it is something that our community does look forward to, and fundraising is probably going to be an issue for the fire department this year.
And Halloween's on Saturday night. With the new moon.
Yeah, I feel it's 2 months away, and I think it's a bad idea to plan for it. No matter how careful we are, people are going to congregate, and everything's ticking up right now. We didn't want to do Canada Day if the numbers are worse in March than they are now. So
And it snowed in Calgary.
the only thing I think is they can maybe purchase the fireworks and if they store properly, but even that doesn't sound safe.
Explosives.
I
mean,
Lebanon.
the Beirut.
Just saw myself when I said that, but
Councillor Dunn?
I would like to see them go ahead myself with areas set aside, you know, specific areas for people to designate, or for people to go and gather. And the logistics of that means somebody's monitoring, or you're keeping your bubble. I mean, the reality is I typically would go and I hang with my family at the fireworks, and I might stop and chat with people on my way. And I see a lot of people doing that. So
It's a tough one because if the weather's crappy, right?
nobody will be out.
Nobody will be out
Because there's no fire.
because there's no fire.
Mhm.
If it's cold, there's no fire. So then you've got people sitting in their cars. Then is that putting, because I don't even think you're allowed to be in the ball field because that's too close to the radius for the blasting circle. Because these are explosives, right?
Yeah.
They are packed explosives. So then, you know, then where do you have people going? And we're supposed to be setting an example. And I mean, today Dr. Bonnie Henry says, you're not behaving, so here's your next
Order.
order. So to
I know
spend
it's so-
$7,000 on fireworks, get them shipped out here from Alberta, and then have to store them.
that's a risk too.
That's
Councillor Mitchell, did you have anything you want to add to that?
I don't know, it's a tough one, you know, some people just love that evening, and I hate to kill it. I personally don't care at all, but I know that there's people who live for that day, and, you know, I don't want to be the guy that throws a wet blanket on it.
I know, it is brutal.
well, and
That's like closing the pool, right, you know, like there's people who just live for it.
that's the other thing too, with it being a Saturday night, from a policing standpoint.
The more people stay home, the better, probably.
Well,
People are already going to want to trick or treat and get out, so this is
Exactly.
a double whammy.
It's just,
On the other hand, we need to set an example that we believe that what Bonnie Henry is telling us is true, and we need to protect ourselves. And so really, to promote a social gathering that's going to be way more than 50 people, no matter how you slice it, and keeping them apart will be impossible. Maybe we need to just decide that when things are lifted, we're going to have double the amount for that year.
or have a fireworks when it's lifted, because it'll still be dark, a Christmas firework or whatever.
But driving home the point that this is
Yeah.
a genuine pandemic. It's a once in a lifetime event that none of us have ever experienced in the past. We probably never see another one. Maybe
Let's
we
hope not.
need to treat it that way and, make a hard decision. I don't know. I find it tough no matter which way.
Yeah, I do too.
We don't even know if kids are gonna be out trick or treating.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't
Yeah,
even
you're
know
right.
how it's
Yeah.
like.
So am I hearing that we are going to postpone it? Oh, I know, everybody, it's like the pool all over
And
again.
I think the fireworks probably, back in my day, they would have been ordered by about now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're getting to the point where, and then if you don't know what, in the olden days, you used to have a kitty, so that if there was a strike year,
Yeah.
they had enough money sitting in the bank to go and run a show. I don't think that happens anymore because of the way the accounting's done now. Could be totally wrong, but here you go.
Mhm.
How do you start to plan a show? A 20-minute show?
Yeah.
You make it a 10-minute show? Well, then you've shuffled all those people downtown
Yeah.
or to their spots,
Mhm.
and then you gotta shuffle them all back out. I mean, it's enough stress on the fire department to keep people out of that blast circle. Never mind who's gonna be the one that says, is that your paw?
Huh?
Are you out of your paw? Like, are you, who's gonna be the person to do that, right?
Bubble.
Bubble. Sorry.
So,
Go ahead.
so we're discussing whether they should or shouldn't go ahead. What was the actual ask of the fire department of council?
Whether it should or shouldn't go ahead, I think, does council want to have fireworks this year? That's what I.
No, from what I gathered talking to Chief Tate, was that there was no question that they were going to go ahead with it if the funding was there. So it wasn't a question of whether or not they were going to do it, would council find another area in the budget that they could fund this project, is what I got from Chief Tate.
I'm pretty sure we could get corporate support for it, to be really honest. So then that means it comes back to, will council support it at all?
Well, and, the fire department, so their volunteer members are, it's the Port McNeil Fire Department, and so, if we're saying, we're not funding you, but if you get money, go ahead and do it, that's not sending a good message either.
I'm willing to make a
No,
motion.
that's why we have
Go
to.
ahead. Yeah.
I move we cancel the fireworks this year.
Seconder?
Did you make the motion, Jerry?
I did. The simple one, motion to cancel the 2020 fireworks.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I think we have to.
All those reluctantly in favor? Not because, yeah. And those for are against the motion? Yeah. Okay. We do have that Canada Day money, and, if things look like they're lifting, we could always order, and then in a couple months, say if we, in January it was lifting, and March we could have a fireworks.
I will be the first to be pounding on businesses first, 100%.
Okay.
Vaccination fireworks.
What'd you say?
Vaccination fireworks.
Oh my goodness, okay. So there are no items at this time from in camera to be made public, but I do need a motion to go in camera under section 91K and 91J. So moved, seconded. Okay, all those in favor? Questions from the public first. Oh, there's one. John.
No questions from Bill and Corey.
Okay, and doesn't appear to be, so no questions from the public and no questions from the media. Oh, any questions from, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are because of the mask.
Yeah, we are going.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, great, yeah.
That doesn't tell us.
Dr. George, she's here for
Oh,
afterwards.
okay.
Okay, sorry, I didn't Now I see who you are. Okay, got it. So move for adjournment and to go in camera. Seconded, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see who you are. So are you in, I don't need to